Welcome back to Le Podcast de Philippe. So today we're taking a deep dive into something that sounds pretty sci-fi. What do AI and the Kessler Syndrome have in common?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, well, you sent in some really interesting articles, actually, about how AI is shaping space exploration.
Right.
And, well, it turns out there's this weird connection to the Kessler Syndrome.
Yeah,
For
definitely.
anyone who might not know, it's this idea that there could be this disastrous chain reaction of space junk collisions, and it could actually make space travel impossible.
Yeah, it's scary stuff.
It is. We're going to unpack what it is exactly and why it's such a big deal in just a minute, but then we're going to explore how AI might be our best shot at actually preventing this whole space travel doomsday scenario. So
Sounds like fun.
stick around because this is going to get really interesting.
So the Kessler Syndrome, it's not just theoretical, it's a real threat to us being able to explore and use space.
Right.
So imagine this. Two objects in orbit crash, and that sets off this whole chain reaction of more and more collisions, creating just tons of space debris.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and eventually it gets so dense that we can't use certain orbits.
Really?
Yeah, we'd be basically blocked from space.
So this isn't just some far-off possibility. It's like we've already seen how this could happen.
Exactly. Like in 2009, there was that collision between a dead Russian satellite and a working Iridium communications satellite.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and that one event created thousands of pieces of debris, and each piece, every single one, is a risk to anything else up there.
It's kind of like
It is.
a cosmic game of billiards, but the stakes are way higher.
Absolutely.
I feel like some orbits are more at risk than others, right?
Definitely. Orbits between 800 and 1,200 kilometers.
Okay.
Altitude. Those are super crowded with satellites and debris.
So it's like an orbital highway.
Yeah, lots of traffic, which means a bigger chance of accidents.
So, yeah, the situation's not great. But you
Yeah.
know the articles you shared? They talk about AI being a possible solution,
Yeah,
which is kind of weird. AI is like all about the future.
I know.
But it could be the answer to a problem that could mess up our future in space.
It is kind of ironic. But AI can give us a bunch of tools to, like, revolutionize how we handle space junk.
Okay, so how?
Well, one of the main things is prediction and avoiding collisions. AI can look at the paths of satellites and debris and predict crashes way ahead of time.
So it's like a super advanced warning system for space.
Exactly.
So instead of just reacting to crashes after they happen,
Right.
we can actually stop them from happening in the first place.
Yeah.
Like a self-driving system for satellites, like navigating through this minefield of space junk.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Wow.
And what's even cooler is AI can make these decisions way faster than a human could, like in real time reacting to what's happening up there,
Wow.
which is really important because things are moving super fast up there. I mean, we're talking thousands of kilometers per hour.
That's incredible.
So yeah,
It seems like AI isn't just making space exploration better. It's actually making it much safer.
for sure. Because AI can process tons of data from sensors and satellites, so we get better surveillance.
Okay.
We can keep a closer eye on all the debris.
Yeah.
We might even spot dangers that humans would miss.
Right.
And that means better ways to deal with the problem.
It's more than just dodging debris.
Exactly. It's about really getting what the problem is.
Right.
AI can look at trends, see patterns, and help us figure out how this debris problem is going to change over time.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And that's key for coming up with long-term solutions to make sure we can keep exploring space.
It seems like AI has so much potential.
It really does. Yeah, and we're really just starting to figure out what it can do. Like, take trajectory optimization. AI could plan the safest and best routes for spacecraft,
Okay.
so we make less new debris in the first place.
So we're not just reacting to the junk that's already up there. We're trying to prevent more from happening.
Exactly. It's being proactive. And that's really important for sustainability.
Right.
You know, as we keep sending things into orbit, we got to figure out how to reduce our impact. We need to keep space usable for, everyone in the future. AI can really help us do that.
It's almost like AI is helping us be responsible in space.
Yeah, exactly. It's about being good stewards.
Right.
And that leads to another cool thing AI can do: space traffic management. Imagine air traffic control for space.
Wow.
But it's run by AI algorithms and it's happening live.
Real time.
Yeah, helping to coordinate all the satellites up there, stopping them from hitting each other,
Yeah.
and making sure we're using the space we have the best way possible.
That sounds so complicated. I mean, space is huge and there's already so much stuff up there.
It is. But AI is great at handling a lot of information.
Sure.
AI can keep track of where thousands of objects are and where they're going. It can see potential problems and make changes so things don't crash. It's like having a conductor for a symphony of satellites, making sure everything moves together perfectly without bumping into each other.
I like that analogy. So this isn't just some idea for the future. This
No.
is already happening.
Yeah, it is. Like the European Space Agency. They've been using AI since 2021
Really?
to warn their teams about possible satellite collisions.
That's pretty amazing. Are there other examples of AI tackling the Kessler Syndrome?
Absolutely. The French National Center for Space Studies, they have an AI algorithm
Okay.
that's so much faster and more accurate at calculating collision risks than the old ways of doing it.
Wow.
And the best part is they put it on this mini satellite, the OPS-SAT,
Now, right?
to show that satellites can avoid collisions on their own in real time.
So we're getting to a point where satellites can, think for themselves and stay safe.
Pretty much. And that brings up some big questions
What?
about how much control we should give these AI systems. AI is powerful,
Yeah.
but it comes with risks just like any other technology.
So what are the risks we're talking about?
Well, one worry is AI is only as good as the information it learns from.
Right.
So if that information isn't complete or it's biased,
Yeah.
then AI might make the wrong choices.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And those choices could have serious consequences.
That's a good point. We need to be really careful with the data we use to train these AI algorithms for space.
Exactly.
We have to make sure they can be trusted to make good decisions, decisions that line up with what we want and what we believe in.
Absolutely. And it's not just the data. We also have to think about the ethics of giving AI more and more control over important space operations.
Right.
What if AI makes a decision that accidentally destroys a satellite? Who's responsible then?
Yeah. These are tough questions, but we have to face them. As AI keeps becoming a bigger part of space exploration,
We do.
it's like this weird new time where it's getting hard to tell where human control stops and where the machine starts making its own decisions. It's exciting, but it's kind of scary too.
Yeah, for sure. But I think talking about these things, really thinking about the ethical stuff,
Yeah.
that's how we use AI's power in the right way to keep space exploration safe and make sure it has a good future.
Yeah, it feels like we're at this turning point for space exploration
Mhm.
where we have all this amazing technology, but we have to be really careful about how we use it.
You're right. It's not just about figuring out the technical stuff anymore. It's about bigger questions, like the role of AI, what it means for something to be autonomous, and our responsibility for protecting space.
Yeah, it's like this huge philosophical debate, but it's happening in space.
Exactly. On the one hand, we have this incredible chance to learn so much more, to push the limits of what humans can do in space with AI's help. But then on the other hand, we have to think about the risks. What if something goes wrong? What if AI gets too much control?
It's a balancing act, using AI's power, but making sure we're still in control.
Exactly. We need to ask ourselves some tough questions, like how much should AI be involved in space exploration? How do we decide what's responsible for a machine to do? And how do we make sure AI is helping humanity as we go further into space?
It could be interesting to see how this all plays out as AI gets smarter.
Definitely. But I think it's a good sign that we're even having these conversations. It means we're thinking about these things. We're not just rushing into this new era of space exploration without being aware of what could happen.
Yeah, we need to be responsible.
I agree. The best thing we can do is to keep talking about it.
Yeah.
Scientists, engineers, people who study ethics, and the people who make the rules all need to work together. We need to share ideas and expertise to make sure we're developing and using AI in space the right way, with values and principles that everyone agrees on.
So we started with this question about space junk and the Kessler Syndrome, and we ended up talking about the whole future of space exploration,
It's all connected.
the role of technology, and whether we can trust AI. It's been a really interesting discussion.
Yeah. I hope our listeners enjoyed it and that gave them something to think about. It's clear that AI is going to be a big part of how we explore space, and we need to be both excited about that and cautious at the same time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into AI and space exploration. We've only just scratched the surface of this topic. It's a complex and rapidly changing field, so keep learning and keep asking those questions.
And if you want to hear more, be sure to subscribe to Le Podcast of Philippe on YouTube for more deep dives into space exploration technology and the future of humanity.
Until next time, keep looking up and keep those questions coming.